You're listening to Double Tap, your daily accessible technology show. Now, here's your hosts, Stephen Scott and Shaun Priest.
Oh, hello, Shaun Priest. Happy Wednesday. How are you?
Was that 4 hellos or was that 3 hellos? You know what? I lost count, but do I feel lucky, punk? Hello, Stephen Scott. How are you doing? Hello, double tappers.
Are you all right today? You feeling okay?
Yeah, why? What?
I don't know. You just seem to go off on one there. I think you almost left your body for a second there.
I am a little bit manic and I don't know why. I think I've had too many sweets. Maybe it's a sugar rush. Who knows? I'll come crashing down anytime soon.
Still eating the kids' Halloween supply, are you?
Yeah, that's right.
The kids who are in their 20s.
Yes, late 20s. Yes. No Halloween.
Who just drove to the shop to buy candy just for you. Yeah.
Sorry.
Listen, I have been in my loft / attic / bit of the house you can go up to where you store stuff.
Oh, I see. There you go with your privilege. You know, I don't have a loft.
Oh, I
don't have an attic.
Well, you would buy a house with a flat roof.
I've just got a flat roof. There's nothing there. I'm missing my storage. I don't have a basement. I don't have a cellar. Life is hard. Carry on.
Well, you bought the house. Although, in fairness, I'll never forget the story you told me about the window that fell out on day one.
Yeah, never.
And
buy
the shower
a house.
with the hole in the floor.
I still haven't fixed that. Anyway, Carry on. Tell me about your loft.
It's funny, actually. We've got a shower that has exactly the same problem. Like, if you point the shower at the wall, the water will just run right through the house.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it?
Brilliant.
I mean, yeah, I could get a plumber in, but I'm not going to go mad.
But I got a plumber in, and the guy was completely confused because, like, the water is pouring into the kitchen downstairs, but underneath the shower is kind of raised up. And so he's able to go underneath the shower, and it was as dry as a bone.
Sorry, he can go underneath. What is he, a borrower? I mean, or how high is your shower off the floor?
Well, so it's off by about, I don't know, a couple of inches, 6 inches maybe, off the floor. It's kind of raised up.
Yes.
And so, you can get under there. There's a little plinth you can, go under. And it was as dry as a bone. But there was water gushing into the kitchen. We couldn't understand it. And it was because there was a tiny little nick in the wall. And so the water was actually going through the wall down into the kitchen below.
Water will find a way.
So we have a beautiful story to start the day off with. Water will find a way.
Sorry.
Goodness me. Anyway, I was in the attic, loft, whatever, and it's the place my wife doesn't go, basically. She will not go in there. She will leave things next to the attic for me, the steps. She will leave them there, and she'll say, can you please put this up there? And if I'm often dispatched to get things.
It's so manly.
I am. It's the only time in my life I feel anyway manly. I'm a man. I do manly things. I go up a ladder. Anyway,
spiders up there.
It does mean
not going up.
No. It does mean that I get to store things up there. You see, much to her annoyance, but equally she can't see it, so it's not there. Matter. It's like if a tree fell in the forest that happened to be full of old computer bits.
The longest loft story I've ever heard.
I'm trying to get to it. I'm trying to tell you what I've got.
Stop setting the scene. God, it's like working with William Shakespeare. Go on.
Yes. Right, so I go up the loft, right? And in there, I find all this stuff. I was looking for something in particular.
What?
I can't even remember what it was, to be honest. But I found stuff, and I wanted to bring it down and show you. I'll do a bit of show and tell today.
So, what have you got for us?
So the first thing I'm going to show you, right, is this. I cannot believe I've got this and forgot about it. So the MacBook Pro that I've now got, I found in my loft this little docking station that connects. So it has just a little kind of candy bar size with 2 USB-Cs on the side. Those USB-Cs go into the side of the MacBook Pro, so therefore the actual dock is flush with the unit itself. And on here, you've got 2 USB-As, you've got a USB-C pass-through for power, and you've got an Ethernet potential as well. You can plug in an Ethernet cable into this. And There's a headphone jack as well. There's a little pop-out you can put the headphone jack, connect it in. So basically, all the ports on the side of the MacBook are covered by this, which kind of almost just clips onto the side. And it means that you get this extension of your MacBook that allows you to plug things in. So great for portability. Great on the desk as well. Yes.
Why is it in the loft if it's so great?
Well, I didn't have a MacBook Pro until last week.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Hang on. Is the laptop you've got now, does that dock still fit? Because the ports move around, don't they?
Well, not with this one, no, because there's been no change to this one. So
Okay.
I think the design's been the same since the M2. But yeah, this particular model, this sits flush, you see, because you could plug it into another computer, but it wouldn't be flush with the side.
Yeah, that was a design I saw quite a lot when the Mac started to go to USB-C and cut down the amount of I/O. You saw a lot of these docks.
Well,
they're actually a really good idea.
Well, I mean, this is interesting, right? So
Using jargon.
I'm going to unbox it. I'm going to unbox stuff I bought 10 years ago. This is the worst unboxing
What's the make?
ever. Satechi.
Oh, I know Satechi, yes.
I'm trying to get it out of the box here. Goodness me. I got it in here.
Oh, this is a terrible unboxing.
Oh, this is dreadful. How do you get this out? Right.
I'm not a fan of unboxings.
Well, no, neither am I.
It's in a box.
So basically here you've got two USB-Cs on the side, which go in, and then that connects directly into the MacBook Pro, which then sits flush alongside. And then, like I say, on the back, you've got... I like saying flush. And then you've got a USB-C for pass-through. You've got the two USB-As. You've got the Ethernet, but you've also got another USB-C there as well, so you can plug stuff in. So that'll give you a lot of ports, headphone port on the bottom. So it adds a lot of ports, especially those USB-A ports. That's quite useful. Saves you carrying around a bunch of dongles with you.
Yes.
So, yeah, I think that's quite cool, don't you?
Right. I know you brought... Yes, it is. Yes, I think we talked about this before, but I remember you bringing this down. Are you going to use this now?
Well, that was the intention, yes.
Oh, okay.
It's a bit pointless bringing it down not to use it.
Well, no, you said you were just bringing it down for show and tell because you got all excited because you found tech. You'd found tech that you'd forgotten you put up there, but okay.
Yeah, exactly. Right. I should have a new segment called What Stephen Forgot He Bought.
We'll get Rob working and let it right away.
This is ridiculous, right? This next one is utterly ridiculous. I cannot believe I found this. So so you might remember I had issues
yes.
with the with the remote control, the Siri remote, which comes with the Apple TV.
Did you?
I did. I had some issues with it. I had issues.
What were the issues that you had?
I had various issues. I found it was too
not
small.
flush enough?
It wasn't flush enough. The remote control kept disappearing or sliding out of my hand. I didn't like the style of it. So I decided to opt for a different one, which was an infrared one you can buy. The name escapes me of the make of it, but I can put a link in the show notes to it because it was one you get on Amazon.
Yes.
And it basically uses infrared. Now, the only downside to that is you don't get the Siri capability at all.
What's the point?
And you can't toggle voiceover on and off with it.
Oh, that's a showstopper.
You basically can't bring up the accessibility shortcut because if you press the menu button 3 times or you press the play button 3 times or you press any button 3 times, I tried every button on it, nothing will register that command. So, my Beetlejuice command to get voiceover working doesn't work anymore.
That's very clever, Stephen Scott. Well done, you.
Thank you.
Take a break.
Thank you.
Okay, so you got a replacement Apple TV remote. And now is this specifically for, I believe the Siri remote we're talking about came in with the 4K?
That's right. So I go up the loft and guess what I find? A brand new Apple TV completely unopened. So an Apple TV 4K, because the one I've got downstairs is the Apple TV HD. It's like a million years old. So, we'll be horsing that trash and getting this on. So, I've got the Apple TV 4K. You've got the Apple TV 4K, right? You like it?
I have, yes. And all the talk about the Siri remote controls that you've had in the past, I thought, what are you talking about? Because I had just the HD one before. But it's a totally different remote control with the Siri button on the side and a cursor circle at the top, which still has the touch-sensitive sort of capacity in it. It's all a little bit weird.
But you can control that. You can turn that function off and you can make it directional. You can. In the accessibility. That's what I like about this. With the accessibility, you can do more. Also, you can buy these little covers, silicone covers as well, if you do struggle with holding these devices. Because I don't know. I mean, I find it's the same with the Fire TV sticks as well. The remote controls, they just fall in my hand. So, for me, I could get like a little silicone cover that will cover around the remote control and keep it in place.
Lanyard.
Yeah. Oh, a lanyard. I can get a lanyard.
Oh, imagine. That's what I used to get for the Wii controllers for when the kids were playing tennis or bowling or whatever and didn't throw it at the TV.
Do you know, I remember when Nintendo brought out the Wii, I always thought, is this a Scottish gaming console? It's a Wii Nintendo. It's a Nintendo Wii.
I actually like that. I should be able to play bowling with them. It was cool.
I was Toss the Caber, I think, is what I was expecting you could play, or Hunt the Haggis, or whatever.
You're so Scottish.
But anyway, yes, so Apple TV 4K, so that is going to get plugged in today, and it's got the nice new remote. Yes, more questions.
What?
Good. I'm getting sick of this. Right, carry on.
It's like a press conference.
I know.
like it. Sean
No more
Priest double
questions.
tap. I would like.
No comment.
Why is it unopened and just in the loft? Why didn't you replace the Apple TV HD downstairs with the new and better, arguably, Apple TV 4K, Stephen Scott?
What happened was, the reason I have this is because I had some spare Apple dollars from a gift card. And so I thought, hey, I'll get myself the 4K Apple TV with the intention of changing it. Never got around to changing it. We were obviously changing some stuff around in the house. This must have just ended up in a pile to be, I'll sort this later pile, and it ended up in the loft / attic.
To be fair, I can't shout at you because I did the exact same thing. I had it for about 18 months before. I've got a 4K. I should change over it because we don't notice the 4K-ness or the HD-ness,
No,
to
I
be
don't care
fair.
about that. No, I don't care about that. But I will say I've noticed the Apple TV HD has felt very sluggish of late. It seems to, I don't know, it just seems to be taking a long time. Even loading up apps. I mean, the Netflix app takes an age to load. And sometimes it doesn't load properly. Like my list will come up and it's just, there's nothing in it.
Turn it off and on again.
Well, yeah, and that's the problem. You have to turn the whole thing off, turn it on. So I'm hoping this one will be a bit more smooth and a bit more enjoyable. And FaceTime calls, I'm going to do FaceTime with it as well, apparently.
Oh, who does that? Come on.
I know, no one does
So
it, but
exciting.
yeah, I might get a little. I've got. Hang on.
Yes.
What was that stand I bought? Remember that stand for the phone that it was MagSafe and it could raise up the phone?
I've forgotten the name of it.
It was
but yes.
You Raise Me Up
Yes.
for the iPhone.
Wow. Have we all had too much sugar?
I think we're going to get a call in a minute. It's like, get off the air.
Yes, that stand.
So that could go. My phone could connect to that. See, this is me thinking this live. So connect the phone to that and then put that in front of the TV.
Yes.
Turn the phone
make
around
FaceTime.
and make FaceTime calls in the most awkward way possible.
Yes. Okay.
It is ridiculous because if you could connect a webcam to this, it would make so much more sense. The idea you got to use your phone as your camera is ridiculous because it just makes things complicated.
Yeah, I agree. That's actually not a bad idea. When are we going to see the Apple webcam?
Eyesight. That was the original one, remember?
No, I do not. Yeah, you
not
mentioned
remember
this
that?
before. No, sorry. Well, you were an Apple fanboy from way back when.
Yeah, I remember the Apple Eyesight.
I was Spectrum, Commodore 64, Commodore Amiga, and then PC.
Yeah, I was an Apple 8800. That was me.
8800? Really?
Mm-hmm.
When was that?
Oh, God, that was the mid-90s.
Oh, God, I'm old. Okay, fair enough. Well done.
Had a classic as well. And the one I really wanted was, I think it was the 4400 or was it the 5400? That was the all-in-one. I say all-in-one. It had like a CRT monitor in there, but it was an all-in-one Mac and it had a TV tuner built in. And this was like the most amazing thing in the world. It had a TV tuner. There was one that was like the beige. I think that was the 4400, if I remember rightly. That was the beige one, so that was more your work machine. I remember using one of those at school.
Oh, it was beige, so it had to be for work.
Clearly for work, yeah, that's right. I mean, who's going to use anything else? Yeah. Exactly, that's right. It was a Microsoft PC Mac. And but it was lovely. And it had the CD drive in there and the floppy disk drive and the nice speakers. It was all built in. And then you got the 5400, I think it was, or 5500. And that was it macOS Performa? Macintosh Performa.
All right, you're getting a bit nostalgic
and,
now.
and
Calm down.
And that was dark grey or space grey, they might have called it today. And that was with the TV tuner. And that was the entertainment one. It cost an absolute fortune back then. But it was a
How
great
did we
machine.
get into this conversation?
I have absolutely no idea.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. Setting up the iPhone webcam. That was it. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
the Apple
FaceTime
TV, we're going to
calls
set
on
that
the
up
Apple
later.
TV.
And do you know what? I didn't put this away. I think I can officially say this.
What Stephen bought this week.
I can officially say this because this is something I did just buy from Anchor. I love Anchor because they just give you these nondescript white boxes. There's absolutely no information at all about what this thing is, or at least if there is,
No
I don't know what it is.
instructions?
Well, you don't need instructions. So what this is, I got one of these. It's a battery power bank, but I think it's probably the most powerful power bank. I mean, it's heavy. This is
In the
heavy,
world.
in the world, because it's got 26,000 milliamp battery in here.
Wow. Okay, that's
I haven't
quite
actually
good.
opened this yet. Let's open it up and see what it's like.
Stop
So,
unboxing things. I don't like unboxings.
that's you know that tape. Sometimes it can be a bit too.
Yeah,
like
you need
digging your nails.
a letter opener or a nail file.
I've got
something
one of
like
those actually. I've got a cool one. It's got a little retractable.
that. Bear with us,
Knife.
double tappers, while we open a box.
It's exciting, isn't it?
I hate unboxings. Boring.
Yeah, I'm going to end up
Just
losing
rip
a
it open
finger.
with your teeth, man.
No. Right, I was a little bit. I can pull that out. That's good. So we'll pull it out. Goodness me, that is huge.
So sorry, Mr. F.
Wow. Right, hang on a minute. Let's
bless you.
Let's open this up here. So let's see.
Yes.
Goodness me, this is some size.
It's me.
Goodness me.
Jings.
That's quite a
Yes.
size of a battery bank. Right, okay, so on here...
2,600 milliamps.
I know.
What's wrong with you?
That's like you could power a house off this.
Okay.
So you've got... now, this is quite interesting. So you've actually got two USB input chargers. So you can charge this up faster with two separate USB-C connections.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Are you just assuming that?
No.
or is
That's
that
I read
actually
this. It's
true?
called dual input. So they have this dual input function on this because it's such a big battery. You can charge it quicker with two, and then you've got three USB A's. I'm assuming those are all for connections to other devices. The only thing with these is you can never find an on button, can you? So I don't know if there's actually such a thing as an on button, or whether it's just what plugs in and goes.
Yeah, who knows?
We shall find out. Of course, the problem is these don't talk or anything. There's no way of knowing if anything happens. But I
Question?
don't feel anything. Yes.
Is there just USB A's as output? Can't you use the USB C input as output as well? What if I've got USB C?
Then you're stuffed.
Really? I don't believe you. Can you use one of the USB Cs as input and the other one as output?
No. Stop
Are you
trying to
sure?
break this.
Have you read the
I actually did.
instructions?
I actually did read this. This is interesting. Oh, it's a micro. Oh dear. Oh, hang on. I don't like that. It comes with. Oh no, I see. All right. Okay. It comes with two micro USBs. Oh, so
What
it's
do you
not a USB C then. So the inputs are actually micro
dear.
USBs. Oh,
That explains
dear.
why there's two of them, because there's less capacity for charging there. I'm guessing, Stephen, that these were on some sort of sale or maybe some sort of discounted offer.
I think you can absolutely assume that to be true. I got it for 40 quid, which I thought for a battery of its size is not a bad deal.
Just
But hang
over
on,
$50.
hang on,
something like
let's
that.
listen to this. Hang on, right, I'm going to bring the mic down, right, so you can hear this. Right, listen. Oh, hang on. That's got quite a heft to it, right?
It's got a heft to it, yes. 2,600 milliamps will charge your iPhone. How many times do you reckon?
50,
No,
4,
no.
12,
Okay,
a million. I don't know.
That's quite a hefty capacity. So no, that's still quite good. I don't know. Did you have problems with micro USBs? Because I am slowly replacing everything in my house that had micro USBs as a charging port. For anyone that doesn't know, that's the cable at the end. It's got those teeth on it. You could
Two little
feel
dots. It's like a USB with bump-ons.
It is, yes, but the problem is those bump-ons sort of wear away or bend down, or it is prone to damage. So it's not great, I must say.
I did find something else up the loft, and actually it's micro USB as well. And I'm so excited to bring this back down. It's will not surprise you. It's a keyboard. It's a keyboard.
Oh, no. Hang on. A micro USB keyboard.
Yes. Well, what's wrong with that?
Nothing. Usually hardwired in. I mean, if you got it from the loft, I'm assuming it's been up there for at least a decade.
No,
Is it PS2?
This is the Matthias, or Matthias.
Matthias?
Matthias. I don't know how you pronounce this.
No, me.
If only there was a way we could find out, but we never will. This is the Tactile Pro keyboard. I will say, though, there's only one thing about this keyboard that you'll notice when I show you or let you hear what it sounds like. Have a listen to this.
Wow. Okay. That sounds spongy, sir.
It's not spongy. No. So what this keyboard was actually built to replace or to bring back to life, you might say, the original Mac keyboard. The original Mac keyboard you got years ago, back in the 90s when I had my 8800.
Yes.
This is the kind of keyboard you got. And they've managed to bring this back. So it's the same style, same design. It's got the micro USB connection on the back, so you can hook it up to the computer. No Bluetooth in this. It's purely wired. But it does have, as the old Mac keyboards used to have, USB-C sockets in the side. So you've got two USB A's One on the
Not
side. In fact, there's one
sleeves.
in the back as well. So there's 3 actually on this. I just found that. I didn't know that was there. But
So
yeah.
it's also a hub, a
So
USB
it's
hub.
a hub as well, so you can plug stuff into it, which is what you used to be able to do. Because in the old days, you would plug the mouse into the keyboard on a Mac. That was the way it used to work years
Really?
ago. Yes.
Oh, I'm learning so much, Father
Honestly,
Stephen
this
Scott.
is-
Tell us more
Tell
of
us
the
more
olden
about-
days.
Tell us more about the past, child. Yeah, it was good times.
Good times. Okay. Let me just say this. What would you plug into that, though, other than a mouse? Because micro USB connection, the throughput isn't going to be great. So you want to connect your hard drives to this, right? This is very much
USB
banging in a
stick
pen
or
drive, maybe, or a mouse, as you
Braille
say.
display. Mm-hmm.
I take it all back.
You can
Oh,
use it
you're
for that.
clever.
Yeah, that's good for that.
Throw it in the bin. Come on, then. Get rid of it.
Oh, I
How
love
old
it.
is that one?
That's no, it's still available.
Oh, all right.
I mean, I don't know the age of it, but I've had it a year, so I don't know beyond that. But
why
Matisse
was it
is a
in the
great
Loft?
company. I think I lost the USB cable.
Yeah, right, stop. You can't lose a micro USB cable. They are everywhere.
Well, no, I have none. I have none. I actually ordered myself a new one, and I had a very specific requirement while I was searching for this, which was it had to be a coily one. I love coily cables.
Wait, you don't get coily USB cables, do you? I've never seen one.
Absolutely do. You get
Oh,
coily.
The world
Shaun,
has changed for me.
Shaun, it will change your life. The world with coily cables, you can move things around in your desk. You don't have to worry about the USB pinging out the other
USB
side.
cables coiled,
Yes.
like the telephone, telephones of old of the 80s.
This
Really?
feels like a very nostalgic episode today, but yeah, absolutely.
Wow, I didn't know. Okay, I take it all back. That sounds fantastic.
It is the future. And
Anything
also the
else?
past. I'm sure there is, but no, not today. I wasn't bringing everything down. We'll be here all day.
Why not? Okay, that's very interesting, Stephen Scott. What's in Stephen's loft?
Yeah, that's
New
going to be a new
segment.
segment, I think. We should do that every
Wow.
week. I'll just go up and get something else down. There'll be all
Sad
kinds of
thing is,
lava
you could-
lamps.
You could do that. You got so much up there.
I
It
know.
won't be an issue.
I know. Listen, I want to mention Brian Clark, who has been in touch with us regularly on the show. Brian is the guy behind, you'll know this guy because he did all the wonderful tunes for us. I remember all our wonderful double tap songs we've been listening to. But Brian's job is training blind people to use tech. And one of the things he's been doing, of course, as part of his job is learning about all of the new tech that's out there. And he wanted to share with us a story about a product that is now available called Cadence. Now, we've mentioned this company before in passing. I think you guys have been in touch to tell us about Cadence. It's a Braille display with a little bit of a difference. And he recorded this video with the company representative themselves. Recorded this on his iPhone, thanks to his lovely wife as well for holding the camera. I think his exact words were being the tripod, which I think was a little bit unfair. But
Wow.
yeah, good luck
How's that
sleeping on the
so
sofa. I don't know what your attic's like, Brian, but you were sleeping in it tonight, I think. But I will say this, Brian, thank you so much for sending in this video. Let's hear what the Cadence is all about.
Hey, it's Brian, and I'm here with Wunji from Tactile Engineering, and we're here to talk about the Cadence Braille display. Wunji, could you please just kind of give us a elevator pitch of what the Cadence is all about?
So the Cadence display is a handheld device with an array of dots that go up and down, like a refreshable Braille display, but in an array of several hundred dots that can form pictures, multiple lines of Braille, or animation, so that blind individuals can access both text and graphics and animated images all in the same device.
So I've held one in my hand. It's solid. It feels great. It feels engineered great. Could you talk a little about the dimensions and the weight and a little bit about the battery life as well?
So the dimensions, it's about the size of a large iPhone, and it weighs a little bit more. I'm holding one in my hand right now. I'm sort of lifting the weight. Let's say half a pound. We've got these manufactured with metal bottoms for sturdiness, and in these injection molded tops that are molded in Indiana for resilience as well. As far as battery life goes, these things last for a really long time. The way our dots are designed, they latch. so that when they're up or down, they stay that way without the need for any power. So once an image is up, it can stay that way forever, and it doesn't need any battery power. So like the device I'm holding now, I haven't charged this battery in 2 weeks, and it's still at 80%.
Very nice. So what are some of the other really cool features that make it stand apart from traditional Braille displays?
Well, aside from being an array, the fact that it has regulation Braille spacing means that you can read and learn how to read Braille as you would paper Braille. Our dots have a little bit of give, so it reduces finger fatigue, just like if you're reading Braille, paper Braille, where you can press down on the dots. You can also press down on ours. But the dots also conform images, and because our refresh rate is so high, we can actually do animation. You can put your hands on the screen, leave your hands on the screen, and the dots will move under your hand so you can see what's happening. You can feel a moving object. If you are looking at something under a microscope, you can feel like a planarium or a worm move under the microscope under your hand, and you can see that happening. You can watch an eclipse. We showed an eclipse at the Indianapolis Speedway this year. When it went to totality, we had a telescope hooked up to the Cadence, and blind visitors came to watch the eclipse live on the Cadence. We've done fireworks shows too, where we can show explosions from fireworks as they happen. You can put your hands on there and feel the fireworks burst under your fingertips.
And it's my understanding that at the other end, that people can actually see where the users are touching the screen, and it can actually be used in helping teach Braille as well.
Yes, teaching Braille is one of our major goals, especially when it comes to science and math, Nemeth code, and other kinds of Braille codes. When you're trying to learn advanced math and science, I'm sure as you know, audiobooks don't necessarily cut it. If you're trying to read a long equation or work a problem, you need to be able to have access to many lines of Braille and have access to any graphics that are associated with it, especially if you're working with a graph or a matrix or something that needs a visual component. So learning Braille, really important, and we have a number of applications that are designed so that even young children can start on this device and start to learn Braille as a tool. And when you mentioned the touch sensitivity, yes. So our next feature is that as people put their fingers on it and put their fingers pressed down on the dots, a teacher who doesn't have to be in the same room, they can be located remotely, hundreds of miles away, can see where the student is putting their fingers, where they're touching, and immediately give feedback and say, you're reading that wrong, or you're doing fine, keep going along that line, and help the student without having to physically drive to that location. We want to multiply the power and effectiveness of the TVIs we have, and who are already working very hard. And we want to make sure that they can help even more.
Absolutely. And I've seen over here on the table, you have 4 of them just laying right next to each other. They're able to almost share content across 4 of them at the same time. Is that not right?
Yes, that's correct. So you can link up to 4 of these to make a larger screen. A large screen is really useful if you're looking at a large map or a large image. A smaller screen's handy if you're trying to view something that's fast moving. If you're playing a video game, for example, it's easier to play that on a small screen. So that's why it's modular. Another reason it's modular was we wanted to make it easy on the user and the customer to be able to service and to be able to deal with any problems. It's a tactile device, and we recognize every device like this is going to eventually accumulate finger jam and gunk. That's sort of the nature of the beast. So what we decided to do when we designed it was, okay, we're going to make it as repairable as possible and as easy as possible so that when those problems happen, it won't be a burden. So we have a number of tools to help keep the machine working and to solve problems if and when they happen. And one of the reasons it breaks into 4 is, okay, so a dot went bad. That happens. But then you just take 1/4 of your display and send that to repair while you still have the rest of the display to be able to use for classwork, for work, and you're not left completely without a display during that time.
Excellent, excellent. Let's see, what else can we talk about? I understand that they may even work up in space.
Yes, so one of the projects we've done, because of the way the Cadence works, students at the Indiana School for the Blind and Visually Impaired used the Cadence to run mission control for a high-altitude balloon launch that we did here in Indiana in cooperation with Near Space Education. It's an Indiana nonprofit that does rocket launches and space launches. As it turns out, Indiana has quite a robust space industry. You wouldn't think it, but we actually do launch rockets here. So these students who were running mission control were using the Cadence to watch the balloon as it went up. And on that balloon, in October, we put one of our Cadence modules and sent that up to over 80,000 feet up in the atmosphere. We have these pictures of the curvature of the Earth and of the blackness of space, and there's our device sitting on there. And then it fell right back down through the atmosphere, landed in a pond somewhere in southeast Indiana. We went and recovered it and brought it back home, and it worked just fine. So we're pretty happy about that.
That is truly amazing. And speaking of students, don't the students at the Indiana School for the Blind, each one of them have one of these now?
Yes, we have several hundred of these deployed at the School for the Blind so that every student can have access to it and make use of it.
Fantastic. And if people want more information, can you tell them where to head to?
Absolutely. So we have a website, www.tactile-engineering.com, and we also have a YouTube channel. Just do a search for Tactile Engineering, and we'll pop right up.
All right. And finally, everybody's going to ask about price. I understand it's pretty comparable. Is that pretty fair to say?
It is pretty comparable per cell to displays that are out now. So an individual unit will run several $1,000s. Our goal, of course, is still to make sure that students and people who need them in the United States can get them through state and federal funds. Our goal, and our stated goal for starting this years ago, was that every student should have the accommodations they need to succeed in school, to pick the majors they want, and no student should have to pay for their own computers and accommodations. Every sighted student in Indiana gets a Chromebook. Every sighted student in Indiana gets free access to online learning tools and remote learning tools. Blind students should get exactly the same thing from the school. It's simply fair.
That was Brian Clark there talking to Wunji Liu from Tactile Engineering. And that was actually at the Indiana and Ohio ACB event that took place last week. I just want to say again, a huge thank you to Brian for recording that interview and bringing us that story about Cadence. This sounds incredible.
That is, I think, the most ingenious thing I've heard of in the longest time. How cool is that? It's just so many uses. How quick is the refresh that it can show a firework explosion?
That is incredible. This is where the tactile part of Braille is really interesting, because you've got a Braille display which can obviously give text and provide text, and it's great for mathematics and all that, but then goes further, almost becomes like an entertainment system in itself.
Yeah, you mentioned playing games there, some sort of tactile games, and the Braille video wall, if you will, of having 4 to make a larger. I mean, that's just really cool. That's the most initiative I've seen in Braille display technology in the longest time. Yeah. It's really interesting.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Brian. And if you want any more information about that, we'll put information there about Tactile Engineering in our show notes. But I want to move on because you know what? We have these.
Email. We get email.
We get your email every day.
Here's your mail today.
It's utterly ridiculous. Listen, I want to go back to, remember we talked, was it Monday that we had from Callum? And Callum brought up a very interesting topic about being blind and gaining vision. This is, of course, all because of, let's stop that ridiculous music.
Yeah, please.
This was all related to Neuralink, right? Because Neuralink has kind of stirred up some emotions in our community, I think it's fair to say, from people who think, well, look, I am blind. I don't want any vision at all because it would interrupt me. It would, upset my life. It would, be a struggle. It'd be a challenge to adjust. Callum came out with a very interesting comment on Monday saying, look, as far as he's concerned, do you know what? I think I'd be okay with it. I think I'd almost rather have sight than not have any at all, which, you know, we'll be intrigued to hear what people respond to on that. But we have had other comments on this as well. Neuralink has stirred up a lot of conversation. And Ryan is first up here with some thoughts on the Neuralink device and the I guess, the discussion around being blind.
Hi, guys. A lot more positive and upbeat this time. A bit grumpy last time. Sorry about that, but sometimes, needs must. You can take your head from behind the parapet, Shaun. I'm not gunning for anybody this week, just safe enough. A couple of points that just sort of struck me while listening to Double Tap. I've been catching up a little bit last week, and I've been fascinated by the degrees of acceptance of blindness. I must say I was born blind, and I can honestly say, hand on heart, that I've wished I could see for about 8 seconds of my life. Once when I met my first guide dog, and once when my daughter was born. Other than that, I've never cared at all. And someone actually asked me last week, they said, how, a stranger I've never met anyone, how will I recognise you? And just look for the big fat guy with no eyes and a mutt. You'll be fine. You'll find me then. I just don't have any, it's remarkable how sensitive some people are, isn't it? And it all depends on whether you had sight or whether you didn't, I think, a lot of it. And yeah, it's not easy. It can't be easy adapting at all. I can only imagine it. I think it's just a lot easier to be born blind. I just think it must be. But then, perhaps people who have lost their sight later on in life think differently. It's a fascinating subject, at least from my point of view, anyway. Secondly, I wanted to say, podcasts. Like ways of navigating podcasts. I'll get it right in the end. Put my teeth back in. I myself use a Victor Reader for most of my podcasts. And it's very, very navigable indeed, because you can go through it via increments of half a minute, 5 minutes, etc. Or you can just go through it by sort of 5-second intervals by hitting the fast forward or the back key. It's really navigable and really good if you have a Victor Reader. But I've not really. I find it difficult to do with my phone or whatever. But maybe that's just because I'm just daft. I don't know. But either way. Keep up the great work, guys, and I genuinely mean this time, and I can say it with a positive slant this time.
I think he's happier this time. He wasn't happy with you last time with all the whole Meta AI issues, if you remember.
So sorry.
Ryan was having some issues there. But look, you bring up some interesting points. I mean, I think on the subject of, what people's views are, again, like I said the other day, it's a very personal thing. It's such a personal thing. I don't think there's a line on this, and I don't think there should be either. I think it's, this is down to you as an individual. Look, when it comes to Neuralink, for example, I don't think anyone's going to force it on you. I do admit, it's a bit like the assisted dying laws that are coming through. And, in Canada, of course, they now have MAID, and in the UK, they're having this discussion. And lots of people say, well, okay, this is not something that disabled people it would be aimed at disabled people, but that what could happen is that other resources get pulled away, and it's almost a case of, well, over here there's another option. See, over here there's a door over here, and it kind of leads you down a path that we don't necessarily want to go. And the same way with getting sight, it's like, well, why wouldn't you take that if the option was available to you? And that could create challenge down the line. Some people say, look, I'm perfectly happy being blind. My life is good. I find issues with web accessibility, and then the response to that is, well, you know what, just go and get this Neuralink installed and you'll be fine. And it kind of, brings around this fix mentality, which some people feel is good, some people feel is bad. So it is a difficult one, because I think it often comes back to where we end up. It's the road we travel on this. It's not necessarily what the purpose of the tech is. It's what we do. Like social media seemed like a great idea at first, right? We all thought, hey, this is cool. We can all connect with each other. I can connect with people I was at school with. And then suddenly, I'm sort of fighting through, do I think Trump is good or Kamala is good? And it's tweaks every 5 minutes. It's like, come on,
And if you fall on either side of that, you're a terrible or great person,
That's
depending
right.
on which button you press. Yeah, it's such a difficult one. I think it all comes down to whether or not you see yourself as being broken and in need of fixing. That's what we keep coming back to. And, people who have lost their sight in later life do feel that loss, it seems, more than people who are born with it. They don't feel like they've lost anything at all, because it's how it's always been. It's a difficult conversation to have, I think, because we don't want to offend anyone, right? No one wants to say they're right or they're wrong. And I don't think, as you said, Stephen, it's just such an individual thing. Look, no one's going to be held down and forced to have their vision put back, we think. You never say never. though.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's my point, right? You just don't know where this road takes you. But what I will say is this. I hear people talk about blind culture, the idea of a blind culture, a blind lifestyle that people tend to adopt. And I think that there's a lot of truth to that. But what I would say is that it's very difficult to imagine such a thing, like the whole blind pride, for example, being part of that. It's very difficult when you're in a process of loss to feel in any way that you can be proud of a disability and that you feel part of a culture. You don't feel that because you're so wrapped up in your own emotions. The mental health attachment, the mental health issues that come with blindness just are not discussed enough. And I think there is a wall of difference between someone who is born blind and someone who is low vision. And I don't know if it helps. I've mentioned this before, but I just don't know if it helps that we're a group that's kind of combined in this way. Totally blind people and, low vision / partially sighted, losing sight, going through that. To me, it's a very different group of people. To me, there's a wall between the two. And it's not that we don't agree on things or we don't have similarities. It's not
Common
about that.
issues.
But there is a difference in discussion. There's a difference in the way discussion happens. Because
And there's almost
because that lifestyle is it's just part of you, right? It's all you've
the
known.
lifestyle. The blind lifestyle. I like that.
But they talk about culture. There's a lot of talk about blind culture and blind, that's formed, I think, from people who've been born blind because they don't know any different. They don't know sight. Whereas if you've had sight or you've had some sight and it's gotten worse, or you're in that forever partial low vision, whatever you want to call it, position, then you feel very different. I remember always feeling in my 20s totally detached from blind people.
Oh, yeah, me too. Yeah, absolutely.
And I was
also
totally detached from sighted people. Exactly. I was stuck in the middle.
Double agent. Yeah, exactly. Didn't really fit in anywhere.
And then it gets worse because then what happens is if you do start, as I did, start losing vision, and you did too, we go through this journey where you're starting to feel some kind of connection with people who are totally blind, but they don't really want to know you either because, they are like, well, you're not one of us really because you still got a bit of vision. As soon as there's a sense of a chink of light at all in your vision, it's like, oh, you're not one of us. And it's just, and that whole thing, it absolutely enrages me.
Does it though? That's the point I was going to make. In the community, I'm going to use the word. I know some people don't like it, but in the community of blind or visually impaired people, there is that. In some cases, you do see some sort of fighting between the community there, right? The subsections, if you will, the partially sighted. You've got vision. There's almost some, I don't know, some underlying distrust or whatever it may be.
Well, I don't know what it is because these are the same people who will often be the first to jump up and down and talk about how proud they are to be blind. Well, look, if you're so proud to be blind, then why are you targeting me for having some vision, some level of vision? It's almost like there's a little bit, if I'm honest, of an anti-sighted narrative starting to form. It's like an anti-sight thing. Like I see people campaign, for example, to get rid of the word sight or vision out of events like Sight Village or Vision Australia or whatever it might be. Don't call it that. Call it blind vision or not blind vision, blind Australia or whatever.
Blind Village.
Blind Village. Yeah. I mean, to me, it's all very anti-sighted. And again, we can't solve problems with society by tearing other people down. Look, the best will in the world, most people in the world don't get blindness. They don't get it. They're terrified of it. They don't know how to talk to us. And honestly, the way I communicate with people is to try and find some kind of common ground, something I can almost show us. I almost feel like I have to show that individual that I am as a human being just like you. And when you meet, there's certain people in the world you'll meet, and we'll all have faced this at some point. You'll meet someone who will be quite upfront with you. Probably a lot of people will do this, but some people more than others will actually be quite upfront and be like, so you do that too? Oh, you like television? Well, that doesn't make sense, but okay, you like television.
Yes, yeah.
And then they ask a million questions as to how that happens. And you feel like you're kind of getting somewhere, but that's all, even then, there's still a sense of, I don't think he really does watch television, or he certainly doesn't get what we get from it.
No,
Do you know what I
that's
mean?
right.
It's like
He's playing a part almost.
There's an othering. That's what I'm getting at. There's always an othering going on.
The trouble with this conversation is, and I think as we showed in the last few minutes, is that there's so many different angles to it. There may be the mental health aspect. There's some insecurities that we're projecting onto other conversations that we're having with other people, that you're not really believing what I'm saying, that I can do what I'm doing or whatever. That insecurity is there all the time for a lot of us. There's just so many different angles to it. But I want to say this, though. It's not always, because we mentioned that there's some sort of thing against sight, but also from people who are partially sighted against people who can't see anything at all, totally blind. I've also seen that push away, that push back, that separation of the community there. I don't think it's a good thing. There are common issues that bring us together.
Well, I mean, look, I think from the partially sighted perspective to someone who's blind, the attitude there, I think, is often fear as well. I think there's a sense of, I don't want to be that.
Insecurities.
I don't want to be blind.
Mental health issues, fear. Yeah.
And it's strange how I've evolved so much on this over the years, because I've gone from, I'm not blind. People would say it to me. I found this interesting, right? This was my experience. I went through this period of 20s, no way am I going to talk about this, certainly teens and 20s. I know, blindness, whatever, not me. Everyone else would say I was blind. Anyone in family, everyone would say I'm blind. Then I started using my cane because I felt I needed it, and started to, almost begin dipping my toe in the water of saying, well, I'm actually blind. Well, low vision, partially sight. I've got visually impaired.
I've got bad eyes.
And exactly, you would kind of do everything but say it, and then other people would say, "Oh, you're not blind though." And I'm like, "Hang on a minute, you just told me for the last 10 years I was blind, and I'm telling you I wasn't." And suddenly, so all these gymnastics that you play in your life, and people are trying their best to go along with you, and you have to sit down and almost have that conversation, that conversation with your family. That's hard as well, right? Especially if you've had a fairly level amount of vision over your life, and then it starts getting worse. People will tend to not understand. They'll tend to think either that you're imagining it. My favorite line used to be, "Well, maybe if you ate better." Well,
wow.
Really? I mean, does
don't
that
get
bring
me
back
started
vision?
on that. Okay.
And let's not even go near the faith healers. But it just, there's so much that gets so difficult, because you're fighting this battle inside you, and sometimes you feel like the people who are closest to you just do not get it. They do not understand, and they're almost, because they're trying to make you feel better, they're almost dismissing the reality in front of you. And the best thing you can do, if you're listening to this now and you've got a partner who's blind, or whoever, family member, kid, whatever, don't dismiss what they say about it. Listen to what they're talking about, because we know better than anybody else, right? We've got the problem here. We know what's going on. Yep. And so, just listen to us a little bit if you don't mind, and just don't try and make us feel better by lying to us. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't do anything for us at all. It does nothing for us. No,
it doesn't. We lie to ourselves, and that doesn't work either. So we need to get over that.
Let's hear from Stan on this.
Hello, Stephen, Scott. Hello, Shaun. This is Stan Warren Luttrell in Medford, Oregon, and I have some comments about the whole topic of Neuralink, as I've commented before. But the thing that I think there is a contextual concern that I have, that is not just dealing with the totally blind perspective, but here's something to think about. Now, we know that one of the people associated with Neuralink has disbanded the Twitter accessibility department. Now, here's the concern that I have. Forget all the other things, but if people think that blindness will be cured and it will no longer exist because of the hyperbole that is published, what happens when people decide that they don't want to work on enhancing the lives for totally blind people. For example, we have such things as the Ray-Ban smart glasses, Meta's Ray-Ban smart glasses, and that is great. But what if we decide that we don't want to work on accessibility because blindness will be cured and no more? That is the concern that I have because of hyperbole that is out there and that exists. And I think that there's you have the whole blindness thing, and I realize that most blindness now is caused by older age-related diseases. And that's one aspect, but it's all contextual. It all depends on where our context lies. Ooh, on that philosophical note, I'll just leave it there and wish you and Shaun a fantastic day. Take care and happy double tapping. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Stan. I appreciate
Thanks, Stan.
that. Yeah, I mean, that's the point, though, isn't it? Right? That's the issue that we face, is that there is this potential here that it could have real harm on the progress we've made, because people will say, well, you don't need to be blind anymore because this thing's coming, and we don't need to fix it because this thing's coming. And, you know, it's funny, I'm starting to come around to your ride. I was kind of for Neuralink when I started talking about it, and now I hear all these perspectives. I'm kind of starting to change my view.
We should quickly say what the story behind that was with the Neuralink implants, you know, and the promise to restore vision. My point was that I'm all for Neuralink. Don't get me wrong. I'm all for the research, but I was against the way that they came out and the message and the hyperbole. Is that what Stan said? That was very cool. Hyperbole.
Is that not one of his rocket ships?
Hyperbole of, you know, that this is something that's coming soon, because I honestly don't think it will do. And I think that is damaging. I don't think to the extent that companies may stop even thinking about accessibility, you know, on this promise. I don't think that would happen yet. But I think it is damaging to us, the people that maybe are starting to lose their sight and are looking for that fix, because it just isn't there. It isn't a reality yet. And I think it's dangerous to put it out there and dangle it in front of people.
Yeah, but Stan's going further than that and saying it can also have damage on the work that's being done around accessibility. I tend to agree with that. Okay, Tony. Let's see if we can get this one in before we go. This is Tony on whether he wants his vision back or not.
I lost my eyesight in 2019. The first year was definitely a struggle, especially since most services were unreachable due to COVID. I had to figure a lot of things out for myself. I learned to read Braille with the help of an online school, but I've lost the ability to read Braille due to nerve damage from diabetes that has continuously gotten worse over the years. Would I enjoy being able to read books that aren't read to me again? Absolutely. Would I do whatever it takes to get my eyesight back? No. I have accepted my current situation and adjusted. Any treatment always comes with the risk of making matters worse. Sometimes you just have to accept where you are in life and be thankful for what you have. Everyone can choose their own path, so you can't fault those who would choose to stay the same versus those who would gamble on a change. Best luck to those who take a chance on getting their eyesight back. Take care, Tony.
Yeah, and you know, I think that's such an interesting point, actually, Tony, because from my perspective, yes, I would be maybe not first in the queue, maybe fourth, fifth in the queue. Some other people go first and try it. But you're right. If someone doesn't want to do it, then they shouldn't have to. And I think it kind of also, the more I think about this, it kind of goes back to the point about the challenges we face, the mental health struggles we face dealing with blindness every day. That actually, if you've gone through that, if you've climbed that mountain, you know, you really don't want to be starting to climb a new one. You've got to a point where you're happy, you're comfortable, you've kind of got used to life as it is. Yes, there are challenges, but you feel comfortable in yourself. You've kind of found your place, you found your people, you found everything. Then I think at that point it makes total sense to say, do you know what? Yeah, let's just leave it at that. I think that makes a lot of sense, because I think the same mental health struggles would happen the other way around.
Well, that's assuming, we're assuming there is a problem with restoring sight. Honestly, I don't know, and I don't think anyone knows, to be quite honest. But I think that's a good message from Tony to end on. I think it covers covers everything quite nicely. It's a good.
Oh, listen,
thought
we're
to
not
end on.
finished. This is a topic that's going on and on in the
Oh, I know.
in the emails and the WhatsApps. And listen, I just want to say again, thank you so much for getting in touch as you have been. But do keep in touch with us in all the usual ways. Feedback at doubletaponair.com. 1-877-803-4567 is the number to call. Leave a voicemail if you like. Lots of you still doing that. Even though WhatsApp is here, the phone line is not going anywhere. It's a great way for a lot of people to connect with us, and we know lots of you enjoy using it, so please do continue to use that. And of course, Shaun, what's the number to get in touch on WhatsApp if people want to send us a message, video or audio or text?
Oh, I've updated it. Hang on.
Oh.
1-613-481-0144. Thank you.
Dancing. I might go back up in the loft and see what else is up there.
Have you got one of those dance mats for the PlayStation?
Do you know what I want? You know, there's a thing right now. It's like I don't know if it's like a dancing cactus or something. You sing at it and it bounces
A
around
dancing
and dances.
Coke can from the 1990s.
Oh, I remember those. I
with
had
the
a flower.
sunglasses on.
Did you ever have the flower with the
Flower
sunglasses?
with a guitar. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh.
Oh, that was great, wasn't it?
Let's get on eBay.
No, but there's a cactus. I think it's a cactus. And the kids sing at it and then it repeats back what the kid hears.
Oh, the singing fish.
Singing fish. I mean, the good thing about all that stuff is it terrifies the dogs. So it's always fun to film that and put it up on
Any
Instagram.
excuse to play that sound effect? I'm waiting.
Okay, then, just for you. There you go. We're back tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.